Welcome to another edition of It's a Long Beach Thing. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and like us on It's a Long Beach Thing on Facebook and on Instagram. We have a great show for you today. If you like local high school sports, I got the great guest for you. Eli Cuno, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Paul. I appreciate you having me on today. I'm excited.
So, you know what I appreciate about you is, yeah, we met in the gym.
hmm
But I guess you saw me, and I didn't see you, but you saw me at the Century Club banquet, and you put it upon yourself to introduce yourself, and I really appreciate that. And as a result, we got to talking, and I wanted you on my podcast.
The funny things happen in the sauna, huh, Paul? I saw you, like you said, at the banquet, and I was like, this guy's familiar from somewhere. And of course, it was the gym. I'm there every day, and I see you there at least once a week. I'm go at different times, so I'll see you almost anytime I go in. I'll see you there. So I was like, I might as well say what's up to this guy and see what his deal is, and then here we are. So
Absolutely. So let's dive in, shall we?
let's do it.
What's your first association with this great city of Long Beach?
Yeah, I mean it starts pretty simple. Obviously, I'm born and raised in Long Beach. The current house I'm in, owned obviously by my parents, but the house that I'm in is in East Long Beach. So I went to Emerson Parkside Academy. That was my elementary school. Stanford Middle School, Millikan High School. Really very East Long Beach of me, but everything's been rooted in Long Beach, and my association of kind of why I'm here today to talk is the 562. They did their first ever internship program. The first year that they did it was 2021. I saw that. I'm interested in sports. I never really played it growing up too much. I was more in martial arts and wrestling and stuff like that. But I was fascinated with being around sports, and the 562 was something that I grew up watching, especially every Saturday. I had to see what went on in the football world. So I applied. I was like, shoot, screw it. I applied, ended up getting it, did some years as a freelancer. Got hired last year as an assistant editor. I'm now kind of in a higher role now with them as we head into 2025, and it's been a blast to be around the city. So many great people, so many great sports, and so many great athletes, and it's just a community that I never really want to shy away from.
And I definitely want to dive into all that. But first, talk to me about your experience at Milliken. You said that you were into martial arts, and obviously you're at the gym. Yeah, yeah, you're pretty much at the gym every single day, which is awesome. Just out of curiosity, you love sports so much. How come you didn't want to play? You're obviously an athletic guy, so how come you didn't want to dive into athletics at Milliken?
Couple of things. One was by nature. I was put into, like I said, martial arts growing up, so that was the thing that took all my focus, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. It wasn't like I was looking at kids playing other sports saying, "I wish I could do that." I really enjoyed martial arts. And then once I did get the time for high school, I did end up choosing a sport. I did play a year of freshman football. And then the second layer to that is that I broke my ring finger here. I had surgery on it. It took me out for a couple months. I broke my pinky finger here. Had surgery on that one. It took me out for a couple months. And that's when I was like, maybe this whole sports thing, I should stay on the sideline rather than being in the game. So I decided I ended my very young sporting career there, and that's why you see me at the gym every day because I had to continue the physical activity somehow, and so the gym is kind of where that took off, and then I got to enjoy sports in kind of a different way my sophomore year.
Talk about the gym a little bit. As you mentioned before, that you're in the gym a lot. What about it really excited you? You know, especially early on, sophomore year in Milliken, that drew you to wanting to go in the gym. I know you mentioned a little bit of staying active, but it's got to be more than just that.
Right. I think it's funny. I mean, every kid in high school wants to have that dream body, that summer body, that dream physique, and I think I was no different. I was a very, very, very skinny kid growing up. So going into football, it was kind of this nature around those freshmen of being kind of macho and hitting each other, and we're doing our team lifts and whatever. And I was always kind of the weaker one, and I was obviously the skinnier one. And through that kind of lifting at football practice and that kind of physicality, I really enjoy the kind of competitive nature of it, and trying to lift for getting stronger and bigger. And that's when I of course took that and kind of the dream of everyone wanting to have a nice summer bod, and I started to go, and it became an obsession. I wanted to go every single day. I was counting all my calories and all that stuff, which I still do to this day. But I think that anyone that has an obsession that they truly enjoy, they kind of integrate it into their life, and the gym was kind of no different. I was obsessed with it, and now when I talk to you about a normal day, there's no normal day without me going to the gym. So I think it's just kind of been an obsession that kind of started with wanting to look good. That's kind of just been integrated into my daily day.
And I bet it's probably morphed into more of a mental than a physical for you now. You're a little bit older now. Obviously, you obviously want to keep a good physique, but I think now it's more mental and feeling good about yourself, your self-esteem within more than the physical. I know I'm kind of talking out of turn, but am I onto something with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you would understand too, obviously seeing you there all the time, that you start to go for a physical reason. Like I said, that was the first reason that I wanted to go there, and then I became obsessed with it. Part of that obsession is just kind of the peace that you get being there. I mean, I think we all can enjoy throwing on some headphones and going to work out. Maybe we don't want to do it, maybe we dread it, but I think we can all enjoy it in the moment when we're kind of in our own bubble working on ourselves. And I think there's some type of peace that comes with that. And that was definitely a reason. It kind of became therapy to me in a way of not that I needed some type of therapy, but it became like a therapy that I did kind of need to be at the gym. And I have friends there that I met too, and I started to go early in the morning, starting junior year. And that kind of again became a therapeutic thing of waking up, and that's the very first thing I do for the day. And my mind is so much better throughout the day when I already kind of crossed that off my list, where as opposed to just waking up and getting going into the day, starting work, starting school. I think that could be kind of busy for your mind to kind of jump into things like that. I'd much rather get up, enjoy lift, listen to some music, have that hour to myself to really just kind of focus on how I'm doing physically and mentally before I go into the rest of my day. So yeah, it's definitely a mental thing. And funny enough, I met you in the sauna of all things is where I talk to you. And that's another thing that I do after I lift. That again is a mental thing to kind of just sweat everything out again, listen to some music. And I think that's a very good place to be mentally to kind of set the standard for the rest of your day.
And not only that, the discipline of getting up early because it's a want, right? It's not a need. It's a well, I guess now maybe it is a need for you just because it puts you in the right mode. But it's a discipline that you're getting up uh, hours before school to start that discipline. And as you said, it puts you in the right mind frame for the day. And as a result, you may be doing different things than maybe your friends are doing. I mean, you're college age. But I would imagine because you're getting up early for the gym, I would imagine a lot of time you're going to bed earlier than a lot of your friends because of the discipline of, hey, I gotta go to bed because I want to feel right for the gym. And that's discipline in itself. And as you get out of college, that's something you're going to carry with you into your career, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely for me, it's been a personality thing. I'm a very structured person when it comes to life. I get anxious when I'm out of structure. And for me, being able to go in the morning, like I said, starts my day right. But you're right, things have to be sacrificed for that. Like I said, it was an obsession and I had to sacrifice things to make that a part of my daily life. And some of that is going to bed earlier. But I think when you really want something enough, something as simple as just going to the gym every day, or something as simple as a little bit of a better body, a little bit more muscle, a little less fat, or something like that. I think you have to kind of prove it. And if you don't prove it, then you won't get that. And it's a matter of just putting it into your daily life and making it part of your daily life. And for me, it's just a matter of how much I want it. And I want it enough that I don't have to think about it. I set my alarm, I go to sleep. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I think it just comes down to how bad you really want the thing that you want to be disciplined for.
I'm curious, what time are you normally going to bed when you're getting up to go to the gym at what time are you normally going to the gym around 6 or 7?
So yeah, it varies. It definitely varies. During junior and senior year, I was there. I woke up at 4:30 and I was there at 5 to be I kind of had my structure of how many hours I needed from waking up to being at school. So that was how it would work. I'd wake up at 4:30, be there at 5, and on those days, man, I've always been the type where I'm cool with just going to bed. Nothing's really happening past 7 p.m. except really scrolling on your phone. So I'd be in bed 8 or 9 p.m. If I didn't have anything, then shoot, I'll try to be in bed at 8. If I have something, 9, 9:30. Now I have school 2 days out of the week that I go in person and start at 8 a.m. So those 2 days I have to go a little extra early because college classes start a little bit earlier than high school classes. So right now, Tuesday, Thursday, I'll be there at 4:30 a.m. I wake up at 4. So again, those nights I'm getting to bed as early as possible, like I said, 8 or 9. And then the other days, it really varies. I'd like to say that I'm there at 6 every day on the other days, but sometimes if I had a game the night before that I was covering or I was up late doing something, life's kind of gotten busier, and I've kind of been able to sacrifice the fact that if I'm there, I'm there. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a certain hour. So on some of those other days, it'll be anywhere between 6 and 8. You'll see me there. I definitely have my crowd there that I see that I look forward to seeing every morning.
That's great. And you mentioned working with the 562. Did you at an early age look into getting into journalism?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually there's not even a single thought on my mind about being in a journalism career, using that as a career. And in fact, I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do as a career. A lot of kids have like the I want to be a firefighter or I want to be a policeman or whatever. I genuinely didn't know, and I honestly it never really bothered me. That's something that never really made me anxious. And honestly, the reason I don't think I knew specifically about journalism is because there really are not opportunities out there for that. Like maybe some kids know growing up that that's a major opportunity to major in that in college. But it's, you ask a kid, what is a journalist? They might not know at a young age. And slowly, as you get older, maybe you start to understand, but there aren't the resources for that to become a real reality unless you really go out there and set out to do that. And that's something that you've known your whole life. But for a lot of kids like me who didn't know that that's a thing that you could do, there's no interest there if you don't know that that's a thing you could do. And for me, the interest was there when I saw the 562 post the application. That's when I thought, this would be interesting. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the application, I saw it as more of a social media thing. I saw it as hanging out on the sideline, talking to some players, getting up, some social media clips. What I didn't know would come out of it, which really what journalism truly is writing, observing, and yeah, a lot of writing. And that's a part that really just came with time. They sent me to a game and I started riding and I realized like, wait, similar to kind of the gym, this is something that I could work at, something that I want to get a lot better at. It's also very structured the same way like my life is structured. You structure a story, you kind of have to put it together like a puzzle, and that's something that I enjoyed. So that's something that I've really worked at getting better at. But looking at myself now and how much better I've gotten as a writer and as a journalist, it's funny to think that I never once would have thought about this career if I hadn't applied first and then haven't had, my guys, the guys over at the 562, Mike, JJ Tyler, throw me into these games and into these situations where I found out, wait, there's a real passion here.
Is there a story that you can share about early on in your career at this, or like, oh man, I might be a little over my head with writing a story, or something that happened on the sideline that were like, oh man, I didn't know this was going to be a thing.
As far as thinking like that maybe it's harder than I would think, is that
Yeah,
where you're getting at?
yeah.
Yeah, I have definitely a couple of things come to mind. The first one, I was at a Jordan football game and there was an incident that happened at half. And they had to close the game there and then end the game at half, which has happened a few times in the last couple of years. But I specifically had to write about the incident that happened at half, right? Because I was learning that part of being a journalist is writing about what happens, period. Whether it's a team wins and a team loses, or the game gets stopped at half because of this. That's what journalism is. And up until that point, when I was writing about game stories, all I was writing about was this team won, this team lost. Here's kind of what happened in the game, which is still journalism. But the real side of journalism that I started to learn about was telling what happened, period. Not just the game and telling the story of who won and telling what happened in the first quarter, the second, the third, fourth, but telling about what happened, period, what happened in the world, what happened today, here, there. And this is when I realized, and I was in a game and I realized, okay, I have to learn how to tell a story that isn't just about this game. And that's really when I was kind of humbled that night when I was writing. I was like, wow, how do I put this into words to explain it? But also you don't want to use, your wording really matters, your verbiage really matters and of how people receive what you write, right? You don't want to make it sound like it was something that it wasn't, or it wasn't something that it was. So that's when one of my bosses kind of sat next to me and edited my story. And that's when I realized like, wow, there is a lot more to writing about what happened than just writing about what happened, right? It's a lot easier for me to tell you what happened than it is to write on a story and put a headline on it. So I think that was a moment that kind of humbled me and made me realize like, okay, this isn't just telling you who won this game and by what score. This is telling you what's going on in the world, specifically, yeah, in the world of sports, but everything that's around that too.
Is there a particular article that you written that you're extremely proud of? I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. I have two that immediately jump to my mind. One is about a Millikan gymnastics coach, Ashley Ferguson is her name. I never had her as a teacher, but in my senior year, I did a gymnastics preview that we've done in the years past. It was a normal preview. The next year, I went to we were scheduling who was going to do what preview, and then my boss, Mike, told me, can we have you do gymnastics again? And when I emailed her, I just did a questionnaire. I just want to see if she can give me some athletes to mention and kind of maybe her goals this year. And it was actually the last year that they're going to be having the sport at Millikan. It's no longer a sport there at Millikan. This was last year. And one of the things that she told me when I asked for all this information was she told me I've been out with cancer. I've been dealing with cancer for this, a couple months. I really can't give you too much. Here's what I can give you. And this is something that I am pretty proud about that I saw that as an opportunity to tell maybe her story because obviously I figured if she was returning to coach after having cancer, that must mean that, something went well. Obviously something went bad and she had cancer first, but then something must have gone well. And I took it upon myself to email her and ask her some further questions and then set up a call with her and then talked to her assistant coach. And I even had one of our photographers, a young intern. I went in with him, took a picture of her with her team, and did a really full in-depth story about how she had cancer before her last year ever coaching. She had 16 straight more league titles, and then she defeated cancer. She came back. Her kids were super emotional, and to be able to try and capture that moment was super special to me. And she became a very special person to me. I look forward to being on Millikan campus every time I'm there to give her a big hug because of what a story it was, and it ended up getting put on the news, which was super awesome to see the picture that my intern took and to see the kind of the story that I pulled out of the weeds. Obviously, it's her story, but for me to, as a journalist, to be able to see that and be able to find a way to have it be told and to put kind of the light on her for her moment and to have that go above us to be on the news, that was a really special moment. And then the second story that comes to mind is I was at the NCAA Men's Volleyball National Championship in Columbus, Ohio, where Long Beach State took on UCLA. I got to go on that as kind of a work trip. That was my first ever kind of work trip, and it was super cool to be there with my guy Tyler Hendrickson, my boss. And that's just a moment that for someone so young in their career, that's something that you don't forget about. And I grew up, you hear about people going on work trips or you hear about different adult things. And for me, the term a work trip was an adult thing. That's something that I won't get to till I'm 30 something. And to have my boss come to me and at the meeting, he looks at me like you're going to be the guy that's going to be writing about this team in Columbus, Ohio. To have that kind of nod at me is super special to me and it's something that I will truly never take for granted to have that kind of opportunity to be in Columbus, Ohio. That was also the year Moni Nikolov. I'm sure if you've been around Long Beach sports, you've heard the name Moni Nikolov. Incredible year. So it really became a full circle moment to be with that team and to see that team. And then I was obviously the one to write that. And then it was in the newspaper that next week. And just to see the heading, the photo, we got the cover, of course, because it's a big deal and to see that my name was on it and my writing was on it, that's another thing that makes me really proud that I was able to kind of climb my way up there and have opportunities like that handed to me.
Is there an easy way to pull up those two articles out of the 562 that our viewers can view?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way would just be a simple a Google search, to be
Okay.
honest. I think, Ashley Ferguson and the 562, it should be the very first thing that comes up, I would assume. And then UCLA, LBSU, Men's National Championship, the 562, they should be decently easy to find. Or I can make sure to send you the links. I'm not sure if there's a bio or somewhere that where people are watching where they can click those links, but I'd be happy to send those to you after.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's dive into the fall sports. That's the main reason I brought you on. But I always want to get to know the guest before we get into the story because you have a backstory
Right,
and
right,
you're
right.
telling a story. So let's talk about it. So a very popular sport in the fall is obviously football. So if you don't mind, can you maybe go through some of those schools and give us a little bit of a tidbit of what we should be looking for?
Yeah, of course. And thank you, Paul, for having my moment first. But this is obviously what I'm excited to talk about most, to be honest. And if you see me veer over there, I do have some notes to make sure I don't miss anything. It's going to be a really fun football season, and I think, after last year, it was a historic year. So many things have changed, and the dynamic of the league looks different. And we are still in the non-league schedule. We still have a couple more weeks of the non-league schedule. But this is really the time where these teams are really making a name for themselves. They're really kind of transitioning into their mid-season form, I guess you could say, of who they will truly be and really crafting their identity. So it'll be really fun to see these teams when they're mingling with each other in the league schedule. I think if you're asking me what is there to be excited about, I think the first thing a lot of people and really as much as I want to act like this isn't on my mind, it's really on everyone's mind to see the rematch of Long Beach Poly and Milliken. Milliken snapped their long, almost 2 decade more league winning streak, Poly that is, last year in a 53 to 40 win at Milliken. That was an insane game to be there as well. Super cool. Cameras, TV cameras on the sideline. The fence was all taped up and sold out crowd. So that's going to be a really fun game. That one's going to be on October 10th at Vets. So if you want something to look forward to, that'll definitely be the game to look forward to. As
Well,
far as those two teams go, sorry.
yeah, well, I just wanted to, you went to Milliken, and I know a lot of people that have gone to Milliken, and I think you can attest to this. Milliken historically haven't been a powerhouse in football, but lately they have. Can you go over, the reasons why they become a powerhouse?
Yeah, if you need a reason why I could give you a name, it's Romeo Pelham, their head coach. He's been there for a little over half a decade now, and he's certainly taken the program up one step at a time. And it's been a couple eras of getting close in the Moore League, a couple eras of dabbling in the playoffs. But last year was really the year that he was able to kind of make that last kind of leap to be a top of the Moore League. And I know he has much bigger goals on his mind, and he has his biggest goal is going to be if you asked him, his biggest goal is going to be this week on Friday. But as a journalist, I could look at it and say he's really taken that program up a notch. Obviously, you'll almost never compete with the history of Long Beach Poly and what they've been able to do with sending athletes to the National Football League. It's not really talking about a comparison between them, but when you look at Milliken and the history of Milliken, he's really done some special things in the last couple of years. And if you're one like he's really taken advantage of the transfers as well. It's become a big thing about football of getting guys to come to your program. And last year, the guy, Anthony League, he was kind of the headliner, the running back for Milliken, who really helped them get over that hump with a really strong offensive line, a couple of really good guys in there as well, who are all actually graduated.
And where did
Those
Anthony go? Where did he transfer from?
He went to play to Cal. He went to play at Cal. He
No,
graduated
no.
and played at
Where
Cal.
was he before Milliken?
He was at La Salle.
Hmm.
Yes, so he came over to from La Salle to Milliken. As did a couple linemen, and he had an incredible 4 touchdown performance against Poly. So that was really the if you want a specific leap in the last year, that's it. But nothing that's happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years wouldn't be possible without Romeo Pelham. So he's really been the one taking that team to another notch every single year. And last year was finally the year to kind of bump Poly. But if there's anyone that's you know excited to play in the Moore League this year, it is Long Beach Poly. They are taking that personal. And that's why I highlight that matchup because it's a program that's on the rise that's finally bumped this program that's been here. So it'll be fun to see those two mingle it out again.
Great. So, what about another powerhouse in football, historically, Lakewood? What's going on with them?
Yeah, they have a new coach. Mario Morales has taken over the program. He was assistant coach last year, and he's had some really successful stints over at St. Anthony and at Wilson. He took St. Anthony to its first championship in quite a while when he was there with his time with the Saints. Um, they have a good quarterback, Cade Casillas. That's something obviously that you like to see as far as transferring over years of having a quarterback in a program who's gotten used to a system, and not much will be changing as far as system goes with Mario Morales. But a really exciting thing to have a quarterback like that who's in his senior year, had 2 years of playing experience, put up some great numbers. He'll have a great receiver in Kenny Niamalavatu, a really good returner, the only returning receiver that'll have starting receiver from last year. He'll be another name to look out for as well as Taiwan Jones. He's a defensive back. He'll also be a receiver, but another guy that you obviously want to keep your eyes on defense, a lockdown guy, and just an athlete playing both ways. So those are your kind of players to look out for, and it'll look a little different here with Mario Morales, but they'll be at home next week against St. Anthony, which will be a fun game. I'll be at that one to kind of see what they look like in person.
And I know you talked about Poly, but you didn't kind of break down their program. What do you expect from them? As we talk about, they historically are the powerhouse. You mentioned the most NFL players at one point in time in all of the nation. I don't know if that's still true today, but
I believe that's still true.
still true today. Okay, what's exciting about them this year?
Well, yeah, I think the number one thing is that there's a new coach, Justin Utupa, who came over from Lakewood, previously played at Lakewood, coached at Milliken, then coached at Lakewood, then now at Poly. So really kind of took different steps around the Moore League, but obviously you like that to have that experience around the Moore League. He's a really good mind. The first ever Polynesian head coach at Poly, which with such a Polynesian rich history at Poly, it feels like it's about time, right?
Yeah.
But he's kind of essentially a question mark as far as it goes. To have a new coach at a big program like that, you always have to see how that goes, which is in progress. And then they have a good quarterback over there who's going to need to really step up. Deuce Jefferson's going to be their guy. He's kind of again another question mark where he's going to determine whether Poly wins or loses a lot of games this year. And obviously it'll be in his hands a lot of the way. Tight end Jaden Hernandez and wide receiver Kamari Smith, two big guys on offense. Two guys that you'll look out for, the big strikers on offense. And then this defense is really star-studded. This is really where they're going to make their money this year as far as dominating the game. Their O-line and D-line is a lot bigger from last year. That's just a lot of natural development. But their defensive backs is really where it's at. They have five-star Julius Johnson, also another track star, a guy with incredible speed. He'll be going just about anywhere he wants to college. And then Georgia commit Dante Wright, Cal commit Deion Jackson. Such a skilled and fast group. Really play the ball on that defensive side. So a really scary group to come across. And like I said, they beefed up that O-line D-line. They do have a good handful of transfers who will take the sit-out period, who are not automatically cleared. They will sit out till about the Mission Viejo week, which is going to be a week before they play Milliken. So we really won't see them in full power until that week, but we'll see a lot of different guys that we like to see again this year and to like to see kind of catch stride heading into that more league schedule. But again, they'll look a lot stronger and better no matter what the outcome of the next couple weeks is when Mission Viejo comes around and then Pauley plays Milliken, and we'll see what they really look like. But they should obviously be looking to get back into that more league title hunt, and they are certainly in it. They're looking to take it. So.
All right, let's move on to Jordan, the wild card.
Jordan, yeah, I got a couple things to say about these next couple schools. They have new head coaches around the league. Obviously, Justin Utubo was the first one that I talked about. Over at Jordan, Alfred Rowe, he's another guy with experience in the Moore League. His program is still working on its numbers and getting it up. A big advancement with the school and the program. They're getting construction done. It's been happening for the last decade. But the good part for the football team is that the stadium is now built. It's fully there. I will actually be there tomorrow for their game. It's a beautiful blue field, a beautiful track around it, a beautiful stadium for the fans. They have an interactive scoreboard, and everything's just kind of pointing in the right direction. It was a rough end to last season and a rough season in general. Some coaching uncertainty, but it feels like they finally have that certainty with Alfred Rowe, and we're looking forward to see what he does. A lot of guys that are looking to make a name for themselves in that program, and I'll kind of take it away from there. Cabrillo, again, another new head coach, Malcolm Manuel. He's really looking to just slowly take climbs with this program. He's not looking for some night and day. We're coming for the top. He really wants to respect these teams that he's playing and take it one step at a time. You look at Wilson, Roger Curtis is taking over that program. He has a couple really nice returning stars who are going to look to stay in that mix. He's a guy that really wants to be there at the top of the Moore League. He's a guy that feels like his school has been disrespected and feels like he wants to really climb to the top. He has QB Matt Cooper. That's a big guy, super tall quarterback. He's committed to Prairie View A&M, a school in Houston. He's going to be a good one to look out for. And then you look at a Compton. We talked about some new head coaches, but Calvin Bryant is as tenured of a coach as you'll find in the Moore League, the longest tenured coach over there at Compton. And similar to Jordan, I was just over there last Friday. They have their new field, their new complex, and it looks incredible. It's a new campus. And that's really been the thing that they've been missing the last 5 years. They've been on a middle school campus, believe it or not just practicing, but every single student in Compton at Compton High School has been going to school on a temporary middle school campus. So to be able to have that new campus, it's really rejuvenated that program. His numbers are up. Obviously, it's beautiful on the field. They just got a win over Rancho Dominguez. I was at that game. They have a Centennial game tomorrow, and that's another big program on the rise. And then if we head over the Del Rey League, we have St. Anthony. They had a
That's
championship.
the team that I want to talk about. That's my alma mater.
I know, I know. I wanted to save the best for last for you. Yeah, obviously they had a first year coach last year, and Jeff Magdaleno. He's heading into his second year, and did some incredible things with that team in the first year. They started the season 0-4, which is really tough for a school to start 0-4, especially for one that is as young as they are on the field. But they came back and they had an incredible rest of the season. They made a postseason run to the championship game in Division 10, I believe it was, and just an incredible way to just follow up that bad start with a long run of wins, and then obviously going all the way to the championship game says a lot about that team and that program. Obviously, him in his second year, a couple guys to look out for. Jeremiah Talfi, he's a linebacker, and he'll also be a little bit in that running back, tight end. He is as physical of a football player as you will find anywhere in California. He's not the tallest, he's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, but he plays with so much heart, and that's a guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing in purple and white. And then quarterback Aiden Jones, he's a young guy. He was the one that started last year for the first time as a sophomore, and really that's what I say is impressive when I say coming back from that 0-4 is guys like that who that's your quarterback and he starts 0-4 as a sophomore and then still has enough confidence to win you some games and some big games down the stretch. So that's a guy that I'm excited to watch. And then there's some vets, wide receiver Andreas Mendoza. He'll lead that pass catching group. And some exciting returners, some exciting transfers who are sitting out. Who we'll look forward to seeing again a team that'll be at full strength a couple weeks down the line, but also a team that has a lot of two-way players. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle the conditioning of things. They did have a bye week for week one, so they will not have a bye week until they're done with football season. So that's something that to look out for, having a lot of two-way players and
That's a
having to really
little
manage
unfair, don't
that.
you think? To have a bye week one. I mean, normally the bye is for to rest players, but they haven't played
Right.
any games.
Right. Coach was talking to me about how it was just kind of a scheduling malfunction. He was unable to arrange certain things, and that's kind of the cards they were dealt. But trust me when I say that they're the first ones that will not use that as an excuse. They certainly want to still get at it every week. And honestly, they're probably excited that they get football every week from now on. So
You talk about their 0-4 start. I mean, but they were playing some pretty powerhouse schools. One of the games I saw them play last year was Torrance, and Torrance was looked really, 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 really good. And that was the first time I saw St. Anthony play that year. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I don't know about St. Anthony this year. But it was just the very fact that they were playing these powerhouse schools and probably helped them in a way because they got that out of the way, and then when they got into league, they started in their zone because of the high competition they had, and with them playing, you just mentioned they're playing Lakewood, another historically powerhouse school. So and they're playing Torrance again this year, I believe,
yeah.
and in Torrance. So it's crazy that they go with that, because it could go both ways, right? It could get them to the next level, but also could hurt their confidence. So, but it sounds like the coach uses that as a learning tool to motivate them as opposed to bring them down. So, which is great to see.
Yeah, certainly. You mentioned some of those schools, Summit, another big one, Mount McGill, another big one, kind of the powerhouse start. And if you it's important to mention all of these previews of all the teams that we'll talk about today is on the 562 for a full in-depth preview. But what I wrote about in there is about how they have a similar start to this year that they did last year. They do have those powerhouse schools. Like I said, they start with Lakewood on Friday. And really the way Magdaleno approaches that is not in the way that, let's lose and see how good we take it. He really wants his team to be convinced that they could beat anyone that they put in front of them, which is how you want to address, facing really tough opponents. So he's really just taking it one game at a time. That's something he emphasized to me. It's really truly one game at a time, and he's taking them as serious as they possibly can for the first game. And then when that's over, they'll take the next game serious. And that's just how they're planning to approach the schedule. They do loosen up. They have a Valley Christian game and another game in there against another private school, similar size schools. So their schedule will loosen up a little bit and be a little more competitive, and people that are on their level as far as private school goes, enrollment goes, and what the program size should look like. So it will loosen up a little bit there. But yeah, another hard start to the season. But trust me, they're excited to go against some of those teams again.
And I was at the Century Club meeting a couple weeks ago where they were highlighting the football schools. Unfortunately, Milliken wasn't able to make it, so I really didn't hear much about them. But I'm glad that you've brought that up to the forefront. But one thing that stood out to me is Wilson, and the reason why Wilson stood out to me was because, again, historically Wilson hasn't been known as a powerhouse in football. In other sports, yes, but not so much in football. But I believe that to be changing because all the coaches talked about how many football players are on their program, and their coach comes up and says there's 130 kids, and he had to turn kids away because there were so many kids that wanted to try out for their team, and that's a testament to the coaching staff and the culture they're building at Wilson. And I thought that was pretty cool that. that Wilson is kind of changing that narrative, kind of like how Milliken has changed that narrative that yeah, we can compete in football and we can win in football. So that was kind of something. Maybe you can talk more to that.
Yeah, that certainly sounds like the attitude that Roger Curtis is bringing. He wants this program to be second to none. He's not interested in just improving a program. He really wants this team to be mentioned with the top schools in the Moore League, and he feels like they deserve to be mentioned up there. As far as the numbers go, I think there was a kid at the Moore League Media Day was talking about how like I didn't really know that football was a thing really at Wilson. I didn't know how big of a thing it was, and we joked that well that's because it's a water polo school, but it truly is. You could laugh at that. It is a water polo school. But you love to see when programs like that are growing and are on the rise, and you could really kind of round your school out with great programs in all different areas. So yeah, it's exciting what Roger Curtis is doing. We're excited to see how they could do around the Moore League and in their last couple of non-league games headed to the Moore League.
Let's transition to the women's side. Let's transition to a new sport, but growing like wildfire. The flag football for women's sports.
Yeah, I was just at a flag football game yesterday. It was actually, Milliken and Long Beach Poly. That's kind of where you must start with girls flag football too. And really, it would be disrespectful not to start with Poly. They're undefeated in the Moore League in program history. Obviously, only 2 years of history. When I say history, it's only 2 years. But that's still a tremendous stat to be undefeated in such a young sport and to show kind of the athleticism you have on campus to be able to pull together a roster like that and go undefeated in back-to-back years in the Moore League. A lot of credit goes to Rob Schock, also their AD over there. He's really taken it upon himself to be the best head coach he could possibly be on top of being an AD. But it'll be interesting this year. They had Aya McClin the last 2 years, the Moore League Player of the Year. She's incredible. She's away playing D1 soccer now, but she was really such a powerhouse for them that it was hard to imagine a team without her. And obviously it's Long Beach Poly. They have incredible athletes. That's nothing about anyone else, but she was really kind of the face of flag football. And now that she's gone, it's been girls like Kiele Ho Ching. It's also been girls like Brooklyn Richardson. Brooklyn Richardson had 4 touchdowns yesterday. She threw a couple and she had an interception and it pick six for a touchdown. Those will be girls to look out for, and that's an exciting program who also has a second assistant coach now, Leilani Utupo, who came with Justin Utupo. Obviously, Justin Utupo, the boys football head coach, his wife, of course, moved with him and is now the kind of defensive mind behind the girls flag football program. So that's something that we really haven't seen is a program with that much coaching experience, right? Every program to this point has 2 years of coaching experience or less if they've changed coaches. And now you have a program that has 2 years of coaching experience and one coach, and 2 years of coaching experience and one coach, let alone a coaching experience in the same league. So it really brings a sense of familiarity and to have two different voices on that sideline to be able to really communicate to those players in such, again, a young sport and a younger team for Long Beach Poly. It's really interesting to have that dynamic. And if we're kind of going down the list, Milliken would be next. They were 7-3 last year in the Moore League, back-to-back second place finishes in the league, and they had a playoff win in Division Three. Poly last year made Division Two, made a playoff run, so that was our first time seeing these girls in the playoffs. Another interesting part of this sport is now that they're a full CIF Southern Section sport, we get to see playoffs and we get to kind of keep the playoff hunt there. So see fun seeing some runs and some wins in the playoffs last year.
Let
Romeo
me stop you
Pelham,
for a second. Of something
go
you
ahead.
said. You said Pauly has never lost in the 2 years that flag football has been in existence. How the heck are they Division Two in the playoffs with being undefeated, not losing a game? Who's better than that? Wouldn't they be D1?
It's quite a big southern section that we're talking about here. There are some private schools that do have some girls that are very good. And honestly, if you asked coach or asked anyone, I'm sure they'd be happy that they weren't D1, right? Obviously, it's fun to be D1, but in that case, it is also nice to have a chance to make a deeper run. Obviously, when you get placed in that side of things, if you're here and everyone's here, then now you're fighting against everyone that's ranked above you. Whereas if you make the cusp of the second division, now you're going against people that are kind of in your competition bubble. So I think they'd enjoy the fact that they're in that division. There are also some powerhouses around the southern section. So yeah, I do understand that. But yeah, I think they're happy to be competing wherever they get placed.
I'm sure, but I'm sure they would want to be D1. If you want to be the best, you want to beat the best. And I
True.
know Pauly, with their rich history, I know that they would not be scared if they were in D1 football.
Definitely not. I could not argue with you on that one.
Okay, so you went Milliken, you went Pauly. Who else? Who else has a flag football team?
Yeah, so we go down Lakewood, Cabrillo, and Jordan are the next ones, and then also Compton and St. Anthony. Lakewood, obviously, I talked about Leilani Utupo leaving the program to go with Justin Utupo to Poly. They have a new coach. It's going to be Fern Viramontes. Coach Fern is a well-known guy at Lakewood. He is both girls and boys lacrosse coach. He is an assistant on the football team. So lots of experience at Lakewood. He is a Lakewood guy through and through. You will always see him repping and wearing red and black. They were third in the Moore League last year, again with a quarterfinal run in Division Three. So again, some playoff push that we got to see. And Cabrillo Earl McCulloch, junior, EMAC, he's the coach. Only two seniors on that team, but they have a junior athlete in Kamara Byther. She'll be a big one. She's a three-sport athlete, a track star, a soccer star, and a flag football star. And something that she told me that I think you would love to hear is that this has become a serious option for her. Flag football is a serious option because it's an NAIA sport. It's obviously an Olympic sport when the LA Olympics come to Los Angeles. So this has become a real option for girls to start playing this and do so competitively, not just in high school. So that was a fun thing that I got from her. Again, Jordan has a very young team, again, kind of looking to climb the ladder and get back into that conversation. Compton's in just his second year. It didn't have the first year that everyone else played. Last year was their very first year. So everything that they did for them was record breaking last year, and now it's about taking that next step up and making sure they improve as a program. But they do have a lot of experience returning after that first year. Wilson kind of under another rebuild year. They were trying to rebuild the program up last year. You look at a school like Poly with athletes just kind of flowing in and the enrollment being so high. But at a school with Wilson with a little bit of a small enrollment, it is hard to put together athletes on a team. A lot of them are built up of dual sport athletes, so it's hard to get those girls to commit to a second sport or a third sport. So they're kind of in a second year of rebuilding, and then St. Anthony really hoping to develop in a tough league. They really have a kind of a tough stretch ahead of them of league games, but another school that's trying to take a step up and has the right people in place to do so.
Excellent. How about women's volleyball? What's going on there?
Yeah, as I move my little cheat sheet around to have some information for me. Yeah, I think, again, the school to talk about is going to be Long Beach Poly right along with Wilson. Wilson's kind of been the historic program as far as girls volleyball goes, recently having a lot of talent. But Poly under Coach Keenan Gok, Gerald Keenan Gok has been kind of a program builder when it comes to girls volleyball. They were undefeated league champs last year. They were co-champs the year before, undefeated league champs the next year, and CIF Southern Section Division III champions, which I was at that game, got to write about that game. That was an incredible game. But yeah, just a program that's on the rise and really one that didn't lose too many players. They lost about two players. Now, granted, they were all league defensive one middle, Division One middle blockers, Kristen Deere and Layla Moore, who I'm sure Akinagok has people that he's very excited to raise in their position. They also have new additions like McKenna Yamaliava. Cedric Talaga is a big returner and have some other key additions to the team. But they're definitely the one to look out for. Obviously, the defending champs, the one who has the crown right now, and the one who will look to defend it this year. And then Wilson, second year under their coach. The big girl to talk about there, Simran Adams, she was at our photo shoot. Such a skilled athlete in general. She also plays beach volleyball. That's actually where she makes her money, both figuratively and soon to be literally. She'll be going to Stanford. She's a Stanford commit for beach volleyball, and they're looking to get back to the top of the league. So if you're wondering as far as the kind of the row of the last couple years, those would be the two that are in the first conversation. But Milliken's really not far outside of it. Coach Antoinette's in one of her first years with the program, had a lot of success in beach volleyball last year as well, going to a championship in CIF Southern Section there. Lost some players, but they returned a lot of their key pieces. So she's also looking to keep her program in the hunt. You have anything on that? I can go down the line if you'd like, or if you have any
Yeah, go
questions.
yeah, go down the line a little.
Lakewood, Coach Adam Wadley's back. He is the son of, their athletic director over there, who was the longtime coach of that team. They had a fourth place finish last year. Again, a program that's trying to keep climbing into it as Adam Wadley takes over that program. Really a trustable guy who's looking to continue to build that program. Jordan has a lot of returners on varsity. They have a lot more than they've had in years past. So I'll be excited to see if the chemistry can kind of match that with having a lot of girls that are familiar with each other. James Canoa for Cabrillo, he's their coach. He's continuing to try to really elevate that program, trying to take strides. And then St. Anthony. second year coach Cassidy Harrington. They went 20-12 and claimed the Delray League championship last season. They have a ton of key returners. That's a really fun program to look out for over in the Delray League.
Okay, before I get into men's water polo, I want to put you on the spot a little bit. Who in football? Who do you who's taken in the Moore League?
I got whoever plays the best on October 10th is who I got. That's whoever plays the best on October 10th. I'll give you that.
So between that's between Milliken and Poly.
For my money, I'd say one of those teams are taking it. I won't put my money on who, but I think if you want to get something out of me, that's what I'll give you.
Okay, how about flag football?
For flag football, I mean, just the way it's gone in the last couple of years, and then seeing actually yesterday or 2 days ago, Long Beach Poly beat Milliken in the league opener. It's kind of an uphill climb for Milliken now at this point. Some of the other programs will also have a good chance. It'll be fun to see those other programs, and I think this is really the year for kind of a wild card to get thrown in there against the Long Beach Poly and against the Milliken for a team like Cabrillo or a different team in the Moore League to really make their mark and get a couple wins here. But it's hard to say anyone other than Long Beach Poly. I think when you add that coaching experience, you still have some incredible athletes. It's hard not to say that that program is the favorite, and that's a program that I think I'm comfortable with saving. That's my favorite right now. I think Milliken is still in the hunt. It'll be fun to see what Milliken does this year too.
And how about in women's volleyball?
Yeah, I'm very cool with Coach Gerald, which is not why I would say Long Beach Poly, but it's just again he's built kind of a powerhouse there. They also Coach Chris, former Wilson coach, is now over there coaching alongside of him. So kind of a similar thing as flag football, where now you adding another former head coach in the Moore League, a former Wilson coach now, and you're having two head coaching minds and then two programs with incredible athletes. It's hard to kind of bet against that Long Beach Poly team. But Wilson and Summer It'll be fun to see how they do again. Milliken, the schools that I mentioned, it'll be really fun to see because every year, obviously, you want to take a step up. And with a lot of returners coming back, it'll be fun to see where these other teams land. But right now, before we even start more league play, which I must say that'll tell us a lot more and give us a lot more answers. But I have to say Long Beach Poly.
I'll tell you what, man, since the beginning of time, the Jackrabbits have always been great in athletics, and it seems like that's not slowing down. I know, probably about you probably could speak to this more than I can, but I think there was one point in time. Now I know they have it back, but there was one point in time within I think the last 10 years. Paulie didn't he have a JV team for football anymore? Now it's back, right? But is that true? I mean, did I get that information correct? I thought they dropped their JV program at one point in time. They had a frost off and a varsity.
I couldn't confirm that too. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, okay, but I knew that there was a drop off, but it seems like that was just short lived, and now they're back on the top of the heap. Whether it be football, whether it be volleyball, they just seem to get great athletes. And the PACE program, is one of the best in the nation. You get good grades in the PACE program, you can probably call your shot in any school you want in the nation. So the pride that Pauly has is just unbelievable, and I wanted to give them a quick shout because when I was going to high school, I went to St. Anthony, which is near Pauly. All that area would talk about it, Pauly this, Pauly that, for very various reasons, but well deserved. So let's get into men's water polo.
Yeah, so I actually wrote this preview. Again, we'll kind of go in order of standings last year, not any specific order of what's going to happen this year, but more so the order of last year. Zach Parmentier for Wilson. He's a fourth year coach. He's a Wilson alum, and he's had that program in the trajectory it's been going for the last couple decades. They've won 17 consecutive Moore League championships. So as I've kind of talked about some of the dominant programs in the other sports, Wilson boys water polo, kind of the dominant one as far as it goes for boys water polo, of course. They have a new aquatic center that's across from the school, across Eximino. I'm sure you've seen it. It's a weird kind of pyramid looking thing that you walk under before you see the
It's not
pool.
built yet, right? It's not complete yet, correct?
It's not absolutely complete yet, but it is on its way to being done. And that's something that there
Is there
that
water in there right now?
I believe there's water in there, I believe.
Okay, right on. I,
Yeah.
I live like walking distance from there, so
Yeah, so that's an exciting thing for that program. They have 9 all-league players last year, and they returned most of them. So that's incredible to have that many players listed on all league and knowing that they're not going anywhere. That's something incredible for them. He's really working on their versatility. He has all those players returning, but something that he's never really had is players that could do everything. And that's something that he really wants this year is he has guys that have been really good at their position, but he wants guys that are good at any position and to really kind of mingle on there and be their own team. Right under them, Coach Ish Platoon, a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal swim coach as well. Says it's pretty much a brand new team, so I really couldn't give you too much information on them. He said himself, it is practically a brand new team with just a handful of returners. But it'll be exciting to see where they kind of land around Wilson. It'll be exciting to see what that brand new team looks like against the Wilson and against some of the other Moore League teams. But they finished second last year in the Moore League. Milliken has a first year coach. Luke Garrison in his first year with a couple of experienced guys coming back, kind of similar to Wilson, where he wants those guys to take that next step up with his returners. He also has a couple new key guys that are stepping up onto the varsity team for the first time who he wants to mingle with them. But it should be a good mix in that team. It'll be interesting to see what a first year coach like that, a young first year coach, can do there. Cabrillo, Lawrence Sterland he's in rebuild mode once again. He's been rebuilding the last couple of years. A great coach over there who has a great aquatic facility. Something to note is that there will be no more league showcase. According to him, there will be no more league showcase that there has been in the years past, which if you're not familiar, they would do a more league showcase where everyone's first more league game in boys water polo would be held at Cabrillo on the same day, and they'd go game, 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 and pretty much an opportunity for everyone to be together. Apparently, according to Lawrence, it was voted against this year and it will no longer be held. So something in his preview that he really wanted to let me know was that he hopes it can come back in some capacity, whether it be at Cabrillo or whether it be at other schools. But yeah, he's looking forward to a rebuild mode with his team. Lakewood, Ian Schubert in his first year, another new first year coach, and an aquatic facility that is fully done over there at Lakewood, an outdoor pool. Something that he thinks is really revamping this Lakewood program, and he's excited. He wants to make water polo a name brand sport around Lakewood in that area of Long Beach. And he believes he can do so with an experienced group that he has. And then Brendan Granison, a phenomenal coach over there, has an experienced team, and he only graduated one senior, and he's looking to kind of build on last year. They had the most wins in the Moore League in the last couple of years that the program's had in the last couple of years, like I said. So again, excited to see where those teams kind of land up. I did say it in the order of the Moore League standings last year, so that's an idea of what they'll look like this year. But obviously, new teams, a couple of new coaches, exciting to see where the things kind of lay out.
With you following all these sports and you talking with all the coaches, what do you think makes a good coach?
Yeah, I think what makes a good coach is being able to be relating to be a relate to relate to them really is for athletes to be able to relate to them. That's why you've seen a lot of guys that are familiar in the Moore League stay around in the Moore League. That's why you've seen former athletes be good coaches, and guys that are able to be related to, guys and girls that are able to be related to, but also able to kind of step their foot down and make sure that their program stays straight. I think discipline's obviously a big part of sports. So nothing really slides without without discipline there. But also just someone to be able to be related to. I think that's a common theme throughout a lot of great coaches in the Moore League and in Long Beach.
And where would you like to see the Marley go from here?
As far as what?
As far as notoriety or scholarships for players in different sports, do you feel like in round in California? Do you feel like the Moore League i- is when you talk to other? I'm sure you talk to other reporters in the different areas, and they talk about the conferences they follow. Do you feel like in that realm, do you think that the Moore League gets this just due?
We know it's tough, Paul. I'm sure you understand the dynamic of how a lot of sports have gone in Southern California and really around the world, but and around the country. But it's hard to compete with a private school that in the way they operate a private school. It's really hard to compete with that. So just naturally, a lot of athletes have flushed out to some of those private schools, the Mater Deis, the Boscos, the Servites that are kind of surrounding Long Beach. So really, all you could see now is kids from their area to stay in their area and hopefully go to their school that's nearby, which is a hard ask. But that's what I want to see the Moore League. But I also think that the Moore League has been getting its notoriety, and I think that that's something that's should continue to be on the rise. For example, the football had their first ever media day. That's something that a lot of these, the Trinity League does and those leagues that have those private schools. That's something that they have to let the coaches be in one spot, the top players in the league be in one spot, and to be able to talk to the media. So there are things that are going in the right directions. And again, like you mentioned, asking me about good coach in this league, good coaches will drive that. And I think, as you see, we have some great new coaches this year that we'll be excited to see and see what they can do with their programs and do not just with their programs, but inside the city of making their sport kind of blossom. But like I said, the media day was big for football, and that's something that shows that, there are efforts being made to make this more league something special and not make it something special. It really is something special, but just to have more people see it for what it is.
And where do you see yourself and the 562 going from here?
Yeah, we're just continuing to grow, truly. I think we really picked up a good staff and a good kind of bunch of freelancers as well through the internship program. And I think that's something that will really be the growth factor of the 562 is the internship program. That's where I see us really going, is just continue to produce people like me, but hopefully people even better than me. We're in now, I think, our fourth year of the internship program that actually just opened up this past Monday. So I think we're just looking forward to growing that. I think that's the main thing is to be giving back to kids in the area. Again, kids like me who didn't understand that journalism is an option. I didn't know that you could work in sports and not be an athlete. I thought you had to be either a coach or an athlete or go into athletic training or something like that. So I think it gives kids an opportunities to understand that journalism is a real job, and I think that's really the area that I think we care about a lot. Obviously, we want to produce the news, and that's the number one priority and something that we will always do. But to have something on the side like that, where we have an internship program where kids are able to see what it's like on the inside, I think that's something super special. And that's the thing that we want to really continue to grow and nourish as we continue to really just work on our content as well.
And where does the 562 get most of their funding? And if people want to donate, how do they do so?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit. So, like you said, of course, we do need funding. If you see on every single story on our page, there will be a link to our Give Butter, which is an opportunity for people to donate if individuals would like to donate. They enjoy our coverage. You can also leave a little note in there if you want to shout someone out or do it in honor of someone or a team or a school or a sport. That's the simplest way. You could also click the subscribe button. It'll be in the top left on the 562.org to set up payment to be given to us every month to help continue to set us up to give you guys coverage. The thing is, with other news outlets that are not free, you would have to pay that way to get that news anyways. So we offer it as free for anyone as a nonprofit. And if you would like to support us, if there are people out there that are able and would like to support us, they could do so that way. And also, we take, bigger contributions from people, whether it be individuals or businesses or whatever it be. We're looking to fill up every sport that we have and every school that we have with a sponsor, and all donations and all sponsors are tax deductible. Those obviously come at a wide ranges of prices, which again, you can leave my email on. It's Eli at the 562.org, or anyone at the 562.org can vouch and or be a point of contact for anyone that would like to be specifically a sponsor or just a donor of, again, that's on our page.
Anything that you want to leave our audience with that we didn't cover?
Nothing specific. I think we're just really excited to see what this fall has first for us as far as sports go in Long Beach, and we have an incredible year ahead of us. I'm really excited.
Eli, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you. I know we talked briefly at the gym, but it's kind of nice to get to know you through the podcast because a lot of times if we were to meet for coffee or something like that, we wouldn't talk about stuff like this. So the fact that we do it through a podcast form, I get a little backstory into your history, which is always great.
Yeah, Paul, and thank you for your interest and then obviously my story, the story of high school sports, and more importantly, the city. I think that's something that's super cool, and I think anything that's for our city is something good. So I'm excited for what your podcast has in hold, and I'm excited to be on. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Before I let you go, though, the last question I like to ask, a little fun question. What are your favorite places to eat around town in Long Beach?
So I have done some thinking to obviously you asked me before this and to give me some time to think. And I think a spot that I've gone with my family so often for like brunches, and it's a funny spot, but BBC Brewing, that's right there on Ocean. It's funny because I'm not of age to be drinking, and it's a brewery, of course, but they have incredible food. And my favorite part is that I love walking and running on that Ocean beach path. So anytime I could be around that path or be down by the beach, I really enjoy that. So that spot has a beautiful little outdoor spot. I can go healthy if I want there, or I can go non-healthy and I can get something fried on the menu. So I think that's an option as for versatility and for view. And I also have just had good moments there with my family that makes that like a special spot to me.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the BBC. It's a great place, and especially if you sit in the back, you get that ocean view. So
And
watch.
some say there's great beer. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know. Some
I can
say.
contest that. I've had a beer or two there, and I can contest that that it's really it's really good. And not only it's good because they sell it at other places,
Right,
so
right, right, right.
it's good beer if other restaurants want to carry your beer. And the BBC, I believe it's the gosh, is it the strawberry? I think it's the strawberry blonde that is extremely popular. I'm not really into sweet beer, but a lot of people like it. So the strawberry
Right.
blonde at the BBC is great, but they also have some other good stuff. So that's good. That's a good good selection there, Eli.
There you go. I appreciate it. I can enjoy a view, so I had to.
Eli, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and the best of luck to you. I know you're kind of in the start of your journey, and the passion that you showed forth in this podcast about sports and your craft. I have no doubts that you're going to be a powerhouse, whether it be in the 562 or whether it be somewhere else. The sky's the limit for you, my friend.
Awesome, Paul. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's been a Long Beach thing.